I want to talk to you today about Heroku. First of all, what is Heroku? To oversimplify it completely, this is the place where developers put their code so it runs on the internet, whether that is a web-based application or a native mobile application that you have on your phone. To get a little bit more complex though, Heroku is what is known as a platform as a service. So this means that there's a whole bunch of tooling and a whole bunch of stuff there that makes life easier for the developers and for the owners and for everybody. This is opposed to infrastructure as a service, which is what AWS and other similar types of companies are. Infrastructure of a service provides all of the tools, the bricks, if you like, and then you build your own web server out of that. You put it all together and you figure out what needs to fit where and how that's all going to work, and then you can deploy your code onto that. With Heroku, all of that's pre-built. You don't have to get into the complexities of it. You just say, I want this amount of computing power, I want this size of database, and off you go. So it just makes life a lot easier. So what is Heroku? It's a web-based server that makes life easier. Setup is super fast. Put together a few things and you're off and away. Because it's a lot easier to use, there's less security concerns because it means there's less to get wrong. Security things come up where somebody doesn't configure something quite right. And so there's a hole in it. There's something that doesn't go exactly as it's supposed to. All of the resources are easy to manage. You want to increase the size of your database, click on a button, database is bigger. You want some more computing power, click on another button, off it goes. Because of that, of course, that also means scaling is super easy. If you have above X number of users hitting your website at once, automatically scale up. If there's less than that, automatically scale back down. So it's faster. You don't end up with people being knocked off the site or slowdowns because they can't reach the server in time. And it also means it's going to be cheaper because you're not paying for things that you're not using. The deploys are really simple. Deploy means putting a new bit of code onto that web server. So if you can get things on there fast, it means that there's a whole pipeline where things can smoothly move through, so you can test your code out before you actually make it live for everybody. Then you make it live. If you made a mistake, easily roll it back. A whole bunch of backups are being done. So if you did make a colossal mistake or something absolutely catastrophic occurs, well, you just go back to yesterday's snapshot and off you go again. There's a native Salesforce integration. I'm going to go over that in a second. And third-party integrations are also really easy to do. So the developers will be able to code those things like Stripe and other tools that you might want to integrate with your website. Really, really easy to do. Why use Heroku? It's enterprise ready. It's available for large organizations or people that want to grow to that. So maybe you're a greenfield, you're going to start off with a small Heroku instance and build it up, scale it to something really, really big. And you can do all of that. Or maybe you just want to test out a couple of features in a little sandbox. We can do that in Heroku as well. So it scales all the way through all of those things. Because of that easy setup, as I said, best in class in security. You're not going to have to worry about a lot of things. So the security aspect is already going to be there in the background, just running. This allows developers and the DevOps teams to just get on with what they know well, making sure the thing's running correctly all the time, making sure it's scaled correctly. Developers can concentrate on writing the very best code instead of worrying about their pipeline of how the code deploys or tests and so on. As I said, it scales in near real time. That's super fast, so it prevents slowdown, outages, and overspending, most importantly. And that's super fast Salesforce integration, which is called Heroku Connect. Heroku Connect means that you have a single Salesforce org at one end and your web application database at the other end, and you decide which fields you want to sync up, and it syncs those, two-way synchronization. It's really easy to set up, takes just a couple of minutes, many times over faster than setting up an API connection, many times over, and more secure and faster. It's a lot nicer to work with. Exposes only the data that you want to expose. So maybe it's some account information, maybe it's some contact information. So only those bits that you actually want. It's near real time. It's a really great tool. If you have a Salesforce org and you want to get some data out of that into your web application, there is no better tool and no better way to do it than Heroku Connect. Well, here's a couple of examples. Here's an organization which is a B2B membership organization. All of the account and contact information sits in Salesforce. We want to make sure that people can log in on the website side and see some of their information. They want to update their membership information. They want to pay new dues. They want to see what their activity is. They want to grab reports that have been generated in Salesforce and use those. So all of those things are going to be available to them after they've logged in. It's all syncing straight out of Salesforce. Here's another example, which is a native mobile application for a membership organisation, in this case, a widespread membership for a club in New South Wales. And in this example, we have a native mobile application. That is one that runs on your Android or iOS phone out of their respective stores. Has Ruby on Rails as the back-end language and pulling data out of Salesforce and Marketing Cloud beyond that. It's deployed to those stores using React Native, which compiles into the appropriate languages for both stores. In this case, we're pulling out, again, membership information out of Salesforce, numbers of points that people might have for their membership tiers. And we're also pulling out of Salesforce some personalization information in this case. So if they've gone to see certain shows in the past, we will be able to show them similar sorts of shows now. If they have gone to a particular type of restaurant in the past, we can show them examples of what's new on the menu for that restaurant newly. We can show where they're up to in their membership tier and what they have to do to get to the next one. We can allow them to pay their membership online using their mobile phone. We can gamify the whole thing. All of that's sitting right there in the application using Heroku and Heroku Connect. They're just a couple of really simple examples. Heroku is great for these customized applications, things that take a little bit of uniqueness, things that are a little bit different that people haven't thought of before, some algorithms that might be a little bit complex. These are the sorts of things that sit really well in Heroku. Okay, how do we get started? Well, at Reinteractive, we offer a workshop. So somebody has Salesforce already, or they're thinking about using Salesforce and they want to draw some information out of that to use on a web-based application or a phone-based application. We do a workshop which builds out the UX. The UX discovers all of the features that they're going to want to use, understands what the sorts of users are that's going to use them and how does that flow. So screen to screen, how are people going to progress through the application? We call that the UX. How are things laid out and how do they flow? That's all the UX. So we do that first. And then once everybody likes that, it's clickable so they can play with it. Once everybody likes that, we move on to the visual design layer, which is making a template so we can see what the banners and the footers and the colors and the fonts and all that sort of stuff is going to look like, put all of that together. And then from that, we can build out the complete scope. That is, this is what it looks like. Now we're going to write down how does it work, what's it going to do, line by line, so the developers can follow that basically as a roadmap to building the application. We can also do an estimate from that. So how much is the thing going to cost to build? So we put all of that together. We work out what resources you're going to need to start with in Heroku, get that licensed, and we can start the development straight away. So that's the basic workshop process. I hope this has been helpful. You can find out more at heroku.com. That's the website that has all of the information about Heroku. Or if you want to know more about the workshop or about how we would implement on Heroku, you can have a look at reinteractive.com. Thank you.